Hey guys, what's up, it's Solia, and welcome. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about what the best partner is to pick up from the Battle Pass. If you guys don't already have it, the Arcanian Supply, this is an amazing value. Like for $20, you are getting access to a bunch of crazy rewards here. And just to quickly go over some of the rewards here that are really big highlights. First of all, of course, you get your summon pools, which are premiums. So you get one, and I believe you get like two. How many are we at? We get three. So yeah, you get three summoning pools. Not the best value on pools there, but what we do get is a bunch of resources to raise our character, which right now that is really going to be important, mostly once we get to level 50 to 60. Traditionally in these type of gacha games, once you get to that cap, it's pretty much the same amount of resources that you spent to get a character from 1 to 50 to get it from 50 to 60, at least for the first playthrough. So that is going to be a big hurdle that I think a lot of people are underestimating if you're already ahead and at account level 40 like myself. This is going to help you with that a lot. You also get a bunch of these credits here, these units, which you can see at 5 million. Once you get to zero system, there's going to be a re-rolling function, and you're not going to want to use the currency that you're using, at least at the start, to build up your upgrades on the re-rolls. So instead, you're going to be using this currency, and I expect that's going to eat away a lot when, again, we're keeping in mind that we're going to probably have to spend a crap ton to get our 2 teams that we're going to want to use for base and hyperspace up to max. Additionally, there is so much value here with like extra tiers here. So you get 2 extra tiers, which are going to help you with your EXP and being able to farm stuff that you want. Actually, you get like additional 4 here. So just from buying that, that's pretty worth it. Mostly right now, if you're trying to push for higher levels to be able to try out and make sure that you're able to get to all the content in time. Additionally, you also get this currency here. You also get the other versions of it. These pretty much are just replacing different things that you can be doing. So instead of farming stamina, this can be used to convert into your currency to promote characters, partners. There's also one for also the potentials. So this is just really good value. I'd highly recommend this battle pass to anyone, and you can see later on you also get some materials. This is for raising your memory fragments, which is the gear relic system in this game. So yeah, just overall, this, if you aren't buying this bundle, you must be truly not just, it's not even like a free-to-play thing anymore, it's just being broke. I'm sorry, I'm just being honest. You should go mow some grass or something. Please do this. Like, this is so worth it. 100%, mostly because it gives you a 5-star partner, which is something that I've never seen any other gacha game do, at least that I played. Maybe there's others out there that have done this, but this to me is kind of the big silver lining that just says, yeah, if you aren't buying this, I think you're either not enjoying the game and probably planning to quit, or you're broke, right? It's one or the other in my opinion. So yeah. Anyway, let's go over each one of these and talk a little bit about the characters that they're good on, and then I'll give you my recommendation of who you should be pulling. So the first one that we have here, this is the striker class. This is Priscilla. She is very simple. She just has the effect of the assigned combat's HP and damage are increased by 8%. 8% tends to be kind of a standard baseline here. Additionally, it has plus 25% damage dealt by the assigned combat to targets in the break state. And additionally, it has a 2 skill, and 2 is really nice because you can have a maximum of 7, and a lot of good characters have a 5 cost ego skill as well. So you can actually use this, and then you can actually go through and still use those 5 costs or 4 costs for the striker. Now, this is pretty good value. It also applies weakness attack to the one assigned combat, which is pretty nice. This just means that it's going to be able to count as like they're weak to that color for the attack, and it also does 250% damage. That's a pretty good multiplier on a card. So yeah, and it's also giving you a bunch of attack. So this is pretty good if you are just wanting a upgraded version for characters like Mei Lin. For the most part, is it the best in slot for Mei Lin? No, unfortunately, this is not Mei Lin's best in slot, but I think that this is still a really good option. This is not the greatest for Rin either, who's also a striker, and I can't think about who the other strikers are that would want this. For Haru, this is definitely not what you would really want. So I don't know. This is probably the one that's the easiest skip unless you really don't have a reason for any of others. But I think there are ones that are just like, no matter who you are, just because the free characters that exist in this game, or specifically 4 stars, I think majority of players will have one of the ones that I mentioned. This is gonna be pretty easy to deal with. Now, yeah, make sure don't play for 1 hour. Then we have Eishlen. So this is the Vanguard one. So this one here just has, this is going to increase the health and shields gained by 8%. And additionally, when the assigned combat gains counterattack plus 15% based defense-based damage. It also generates you a shield, and at the end of the turn, you also retain 50% of the value of the shield. So if you build a really big shield. Normally at the end of the turn, that just goes away if there's any excess, but if not, it stays. However, this is a very expensive one at 4. Most of the partners are at like 2 to 3. So this one, I think the passive is absolutely insane on characters, specifically like Magna. This one is really, really good for Magna. And I think right now Magna is one of the best characters in the game for deep chaos runs, just in terms of like universal usage, and also specifically for some of those slower type teams because of how she functions. I think this is a really good pickup if you have Magna specifically, but if you don't have Magna, I think that this is not really going to find a good value home for you on your account. So this is the one where I would say if you have Magna, 100%, this is probably the go-to for you. But if you don't have Magna, then it's probably not the one that you're going to pick. And then we have Solia. So Solia here, this one is the Ranger one, and Ranger is very interesting. It gives 20% extra attack damage, and also when they sign combat, draws for the first time each turn using an ability, plus 10% attack card damage for 1 turn. So this one, obviously, it's not too surprising to say that this sounds really, really good on characters like specifically Veronica, who again is a very top tier option. I think this is a really good one to pick on her. The one thing that I want to keep in mind is like, this is a once per, patch type cycle thing. And so, even though if you have like Magna or Veronica, which I do, while I do think this is a really good pickup, I do think that there is room to think about ones that are going to be more long-term. And I think this one's very specific. It does lock you in to being extra attack damage, and this also has the ability where, anytime that you have draw, like this is very easy for Veronica specifically. So I'd say this is the one for Veronica overall, if you're going to go for something like there. And then we have Serithea. So this one is for the hunter characters. Serithea, this one is the one that may be good for some of the characters. So this is a hunter. This is your critical strike chance for every time. Critical strike chance of the combatant's attack cards are up by 8%. And when the side combat attack results in a crit hit, you get +3 crit damage, and this stacks up to 5 times. So this one's really good onto characters like Luke, and it's also really good onto characters like Hugo, just because you get that extra 8% crit chance just right off the bat. But the issue is it's only on the attack card. So this isn't as good on a character like Hugo that you would think, just because of the fact that this is better on a character like Luke, who unfortunately Luke is really, really, really weak. So I don't really think that you should be building around Luke unless he's your only 5-star and you really, really want to build Luke. Then you should 100% be getting this for him because it's going to make him less bad. Renoa is also a really good pick here because I think Renoa is up there as one of the top tier DPSs right now. I'll have a video talking about my opinion on from everything that I've seen from other people playing different characters and builds, as well as my personal experience, which ones I think are strong. But I think Renoa is definitely up there. I think she's one of the, what I would consider to be the 4 top tier DPSs that are all vying for that spot in tier 1. And I think that Renoa with this weapon is a really good investment for people who really, really want to play with Renoa, simply due to the fact that it does provide so much extra stuff here. Another thing to keep in mind is that yes, this will still work on Renoa's Dirge bullets, even with the extra damage at the end of the turn, because it's just applying to all of their attack cards, and that's still considered an attack card. So that's really good. And this is going to be really easy for them to stack up. This is extra 15% crit damage, pretty much guaranteed for them in the late game as well. Then we have Anteia. So this one's the Psionic. Currently, there's just no good Psionic characters, so we'll quickly go over this one, but it really isn't that great, right? It has 180% AoE damage, which is actually, that's okay, mostly for 2, and it applies vulnerable, which is extra damage. That's not bad at all. Now it also increases their HP and damage by 8%, which, that's nice. It's a damage multiplier, which is actually really big. And when the side combatant generates a card, plus 8% attack damage. But the issue is the best character that can utilize this right now is Teresa. Now, if you are going for like that Teresa Hugo comp, yeah, I mean, if that's your main comp and you really want to bring it to the next level, Anteia is actually a really, really solid pickup for that team. But I really don't think that team needs this one. And I think that you'd be better off using your pick for your second team at that point, rather than that team, because eventually there's going to be a character that's just going to outscale or power creep Teresa or Hugo or that team as a whole, and it may not have a Psionic character. And in that case, you are just down this copy of a banner. And I think that mostly for the first one, you want to go for something that's a little bit more traditional. I think the safest one is going to be Nyx, just because this is the one that I personally picked, but also it's just a controller one, and controllers are really, really powerful in this game. We have Mika, we have Cassius, and I'm sure we're going to get more. Also, this works on even like Renoa if you want, but probably not the best on Renoa. How this one works is very simple. It just gives your combatant HP and healing increase by 8%, and when the side combatant draws for the first time on on each turn using an ability, gives your entire team plus 8% damage dealt. So again, that really powerful damage multiplier on top of everything, which is better than just a stat multiplier. This one also has a really strong but expensive 4 ego point ultimate, which is discard up to 3 cards, then draw +1 card equal to the number of cards discarded. So this is really good hand filtering as well, and this can come up in a lot of different situations. And specifically, I think this is one of the cards that actually makes something like a Renoa team a little bit better, right? Because you get something that will be useful pretty much for the rest of the time. Like, this is always going to be good if you ever find yourself needing to forcefully discard cards and you want to bring a controller that normally doesn't synergize with that. This also pairs really, really well with a lot of characters that can draw, like Cassius and Nia. Very, very good. And also, more importantly, this card just does it itself. So if that character just does everything else that you want and can't draw and cycle for you to do your big combo plays, Nyx is going to do that for you, which is really good. And if you're in a double controller team, you can only bring one of the really good partners. So right now, the best partner for controllers, just like potentially that you pretty much want in every single team, is going to be this one right here, Arwen. But the issue is this only really works on 1 per team. It stacks already fast enough as it is. You're not really going to get a lot of value out of having multiple of these. You need to have a second one for the controller. Well, what's the other one for controller? It's this chick right here, Alicia. Defense, at the end of the battle, recover 3 HP, heal for this, and the healing amount, injured state. Like, sure, it has morale. They had to add this to it, I'm pretty sure, because it was terrible. Like, this is just not good. It's just terrible. I just wouldn't want to do it. And you definitely don't want to be running 2 Arwens in your team, because then you're pretty much down a partner. And that's one of the values that I see out of something like the Battle Pass weapon right here, Nyx, is that it provides both of those roles. So that's my recommendation. If you don't know what to pick, just go with Nyx. Even if you don't find immediate free use for it now, I think it's going to scale really well, and you're just going to randomly find yourself with it. And we may end up in a position in the late game where we're just doing some really crazy combo plays if we're allowed like save data files, and Arwen isn't useful there. So we would just run Nyx instead, because it adds extra damage to our team and also provides us a lot of cycling if we have a lot of good like ego recovery, because memory fragments will give us access to that, and we also have access to like neutral cards that will be easier to save with higher save data caps for the card that's like 1 action point, gain 2 ego skills. So there's some crazy combos there that Nyx is going to enable that other characters won't. So that's one reason why I would highly recommend Nyx over pretty much the rest of these if you don't really know what you're going for specifically. But if you have Magna, I think pick up Eishlen, very, very safe. If you're a Renoa enjoyer, then you can pick up a character like Serithea without any worries. And if you are going to force Kayron, then technically you should be picking Anteia there. I guess it's that that's really your best option in that case. But yeah, those are just my recommendations of what I would recommend for this, and kind of an idea to hopefully get your ideas jogging on which one is the best choice for you. But at the end of the day, you're the only one that gets to make that decision. So yeah, just use all that information in mind. And if you're ever just confused, at least you know now, hey, Nyx is probably the best option for me. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys all next time. Bye.